Hello, this is the Legendary and Green Tea. We are here to discuss the book Echo of Things to Come. I believe that's it. That's what we're going to go with. This is Licanius Trilogy, Book 2, Part 2, the end of this book that we're going to discuss. Okay, I want to thank the main Legendary podcast for getting us started, and Craig. And let's hop into it. We're going to begin with some non-spoiler discussion, a little bit of ratings from everybody if we can, before we do the recap and then jump into the spoiler stuff. So let's start with Mirlyah. What I guess do you want to do a rating? Do you want to give me a sentence or two description of what you think about the book?
My sentence is a bit of a spoiler sentence, so I'll give you a rating.
Okay.
Um, I gave it a 4.5 star, but after this discussion, I may drop it down to a 4. We'll see.
Yeah,
But I
that's
felt
fair.
like the book was eh, it was necessary for developing characters in certain aspects, but not a lot happened.
Yeah.
Or
I could
entirely too much happened.
there was a lot. This series does have history so far of two books of all that we read. A lot of back and forth as far as things happening and then not happening
Yeah.
constantly. A lot of reveals thrown in there. But okay, so we got a 4.5 star from Mirlyah. We'll get into her spoiler description once we get past that point. Let's skip Kip and we're gonna go to Yeti because I feel like we don't want to just drop that down real low too hard. We gotta keep this even as a flow. Okay, Yeti, what did you think?
Hmm.
Give us a rating if you could.
Well, I have bad news for you then. On my first read through, I gave this a 4 star. On this read through, it's about 2.5,
Ooh,
maybe leaning to a 3.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I struggled with this one. I I almost checked out. And again, this is a series that I have read. I don't know why I check out during a series I've read, but for about if we have four main characters, I was pretty much checked out within definitely two, and three of them for most of it until the end, where their storylines I just stopped caring, especially near the end. So up until that point, there were some good. I have some good scenes I like that we'll talk about, but kind of like Merlia said, I think it might feel like broken record, but he just rushes things. I wish this series was longer.
yeah,
Well, I don't know if I wish it was longer, but he wraps up plot lines really strangely, like nonchalantly, with things that we talked about in the first half. That is just a character's. It's just, I don't know. It was just a very frustrating way uh, read for me in many ways. But I wish it was longer, but also I don't know if I do. I don't know. I'm very torn with this, but I'll say 3 stars. I'll be fair. I didn't hate it. I just
okay. I mean, yeah, it is a reread for you, so I mean, your memory, I know you have some memory issues as far as remembering what's going on. I do too. So a reread to me, if it's been more than a year and I had a lot of books in between, that's like a new book, which is nice. But sometimes when I'm rereading something fresh, I kind of start glazing sometimes to the good parts. So I can understand that. Um,
and to be fair, real quick, I've been doing audiobook, which I always prefer reading than audiobook, but that's what I'm
uh,
doing with
do
this
you,
reread. So
is this when you start speeding it up and you're like, this chapter again? Let's hit this up to two speed.
as you know, I remembered nothing, so I didn't do that now. I was at like 1.1,
Okay.
so I was just like, no, I'll stick with it. But
Okay. All right, Kip, hit us with the final blow.
Well, I mean, I think I'm not the lowest score anymore, but I gave it 3 stars. I thought that, yeah, a lot of my issues from the first book and from the first half of this one continued forward. There were resolutions, they were not all satisfying. There were a lot of things that either seemed sped up to resolve quickly or things that just stayed at the same level of confusion for several chapters and then were unceremoniously revealed in the next. It didn't feel like it was giving me a lot of additional information. It felt like things stayed the same in a bunch of plot lines until all of a sudden they changed.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't feel like that really helps with pacing of mystery.
Yeah, it leaves a little bit to be desired,
Yeah.
and that
And
part.
I continue to be unattached to any of these characters except perhaps one.
Oh, all right. Yeah,
Still not very much, but
yeah, some of this was a little weird. This was also not one of my favorites. I think I gave it a 4 on Goodreads. To that my personal rating means that's like a 3 because a 4 is just not to where like I feel bad dropping it down too low than their average because I don't feel it deserved a massive hit, as if my one rating would actually matter. But I gave it a 4, and I'm like, to me, that's like a 3, maybe 3.5. So we'll go like a 3.25, just because, like Kip said, the pacing, I guess, just kind of threw me. Um, yeah, it just there's certain things I wanted. It did redeem itself in the end, which we'll get into in spoilers, but it didn't redeem itself too much.
I will say my first read through, I was 4 stars, and I really liked it. It was the least favorite one, but that when I first read it, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. Soulution and Mirlyah, Kip, I probably know what you think, but that so many of the he really I know we said this before, but he really relies on like the next twist or the next reveal. And on the first read through, I was really into that. I don't remember if I was coming off a long series, so I kind of was into like this fast pace, like, oh, and actually I am this person. You're like, what? Okay. Whereas now I'm kind of like all these fast reveals really turned me off, where it almost desensitized me to everything. Where kind of what Kip said, you're not really even focusing on characters anymore. You're just there's a new reveal of a new lore of a new thing happening. Or a new twist, and it's just I just felt exhausted afterwards, and that's what I meant
Yeah.
by checked out. Whereas I don't know with you guys, maybe you guys liked it because I did on my first read.
The first Yeah, the first book I did. This one I felt like a lot of squandered potential because I felt like the Venerate could have been expanded a little bit more as far as not necessarily like his constant, like in the first half of the book, which does feel like it was a month ago, where he met one or Caden met one of them, and then they like expanded on this. I felt like the Venerate as a cohesive unit could have been expanded more instead of just individually, just whichever dude or lady that he meets at the time, and just a lot of other things. Like I just feel like he kept trying to reveal things, and I'm curious if I read a different book by this author, if that's his writing style for all books, or if that's just what his approach was to this epic fantasy distilled into 3 books. Um,
Yeah, I
Pip, you
think
look like you got something to say. Both of you do. What do you got?
I
he's sorry.
Merle, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? Because I don't want to hear Kip right now. I feel like he's gonna make me even more sad.
I think I agree with Yeti in that when I say that I didn't feel like a lot of plot happened, I think I did switch off a little bit in that so many reveals happened that I was just kind of like, oh, well, nothing's really happening because it's not it doesn't make the real reveals exciting anymore because there's just so many of them.
Yep. And either they're very obvious or you have no way that to know they're coming.
Yeah, it's a coin flip. It's like either I saw this coming, or you're just gonna be like, nope, surprise, red herring. It's gonna be something nobody predicted because there was no warning. Which sometimes I think pays off in books. I like when that happens. I don't like the quantity of that in this book. But there were a lot of good things.
Yeah, I just feel like he uses it as a crutch a little bit as an author. That's it. Which, not every author can do that. Is good at. I mean, he is good
Yeah,
at building those moments and having, make you want to read the next chapter, the next page. But it just felt like sometimes he leaned on it too much. Where I wish he just like kind of Kip said, focus on the characters. It's hard to be attached to these main characters. It's I don't know.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get in the recap because I think we've pretty much hit all we can do on the non-spoiler side.
I want to say one more thing.
All right, go ahead. What do you got?
I think one of the problems is that he doesn't have a ton of density in his descriptions or character actions. His simple prose makes the books long, but it doesn't necessarily convey a ton of information in that length.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way.
I was going to save this discussion, but it's like I don't know. So do you
Especially
think he
around
should like with this
characters.
book? Do you think it would have been better, Kip, if he wrote 5 books in this series and kind of made more dense, or do you think
I
it
don't,
wouldn't have
because I
mattered
think
because
he would have
his
put the
writing
same amount of reveals in per book.
Right.
There's no stopping the reveal train.
No. But I do wish he would spend like longer on each thing. Or at least on each person.
But then he wouldn't have like. I feel like it just mixes up his balance of the plotting with these reveals. Like I feel like it's so he has it so honed to better and worse, really. Where it's like if he spends more time on that, he's not going to be able to fit in, this, that, and that. Which it might be great, but I don't know what he was going for in this series. Like if he wanted an epic fantasy with a bunch of twists and
there's
turns,
just so
or if
many conversations that get artificially cut short because he can't fill intense dialogue. You have these characters who need to talk to each other, who are talking to one another, and then they just decide to stop talking because that's when the book needs them to stop talking. It's not a time pressure. It's not anything else. It's just no.
I think the only time he pulls it off is that last conversation. Like it was kind of jarring how that one had the most kind of impact or memorable.
Yeah.
The two characters talking at the end. So
Sure.
to your point, yeah, I think that was the only time I could remember where that had a little bit of.
But it's really weird though when they just like walk apart. When like they're having a conversation, they're like, "We don't have time for this conversation," and then they just like sit there for a minute.
You don't do that with your friends. Just slowly walk apart.
No goodbyes, nothing. You're just like,
nope. Okay, we can move on to summary now.
all right. As per Kip's request, I'm going to get in the recap. This one, I think, may be my longest one yet, so please bear with me. All right. We're starting off book 2, part 2, and it starts with Davian and his gang. They decide not to kill Rohan, and they leave for the boundary. Isiliar murders Deldry and a bunch of randoms while looking for Talcamar. That's in Ilinilan. And Wur was basically involved in that fight, I guess, if you could call it that. Basically, Isiliar just goes nuts and Wur somehow lives. And then Deldry doesn't get murdered, by the way. It just is presented that way. And then, like a chapter 2 later, you're like, oh, his sister's alive. Cool, that's fine.
Yep.
Yep. Ashel gets killed by an Elatai, and then Davian revives her. Because surprise, she doesn't die either. I was like, all right, are we going to kill anybody in this book? That was what my thought process was at that point.
But did Davian actually revive her?
She's walking
maybe.
around.
I think, she's in an Elatai hive mind, so it could be she's actually dead or just an Elatai. Anyways, we'll get into predictions of that one. That'll be fun. Asha and Brashada journey to Delanis. Surprise, Deldry ain't dead. Boom, that's where you find out Deldry ain't dead. See, that's in quotes. Surprise, Deldry ain't dead. That's on my notes. Wur and Terrace test out their O Stone for controlling people. Caden stumbles into Delanis and meets Orkoth, which we barely get any of, but that's cool too. And he sends Orkoth off. David and the gang inspect the boundary, and then we learn that the siphon makes shadows and gives their essence to another. That the Gala reveals she is Bershada and the Shedrahin. Asha hits Navgala with Whisper and becomes the new end to the siphon. So now she goes to the torture battery so that she can help provide more power to the boundary. Hayden frees the Luth. It says Lutheran, but that definitely means the Lith. Hayden frees the Lith enslaving them, and they bring them to, was it Teresia? I think that's their homeland, their original one. Word drags the administrators to the boundary. Deviant, Ishel, and Fessy bumble into the boundary, and then they get trapped. Then they follow Ishel and all them into a cave, and then they lose Ishel again while trying to avoid like an army that's gonna attack from the other side of the boundary. And then Asha and Aaron take an ocean con bridge to a hidden island of shadows, and then they find the torture battery and decide to just wait. That's fine because they just want to wait and hang out. The boundary weakens, an army invades. Caden learns the real plan is to kill all augurs, venerate themselves, and then suicide. All his friends kill them all. That's the plan. Caden kills Ilciliar. Asha protects the island people with her superpowers and Kamehamehas, and then hops into the torture battery. And then finally, Wur and Kara escape. Wur's mom dies, and then Davian kills Meldier, and then Caden in a flashback kills Davian. And Telkamar kills Davian. So we got a lot of stuff
Bavian.
going on. Bavian, yes, because he is.
Yep, Avian.
It was mentioned he had the muscles, and
The final return.
I like how distinct it is.
Ooh, okay, wow, that was a lot. Sorry. You know what, Kip? Why don't you start us off? Is there anything that you want to talk about? Like maybe an honorable mention? Maybe something you either enjoyed or something interesting? Look at that silence. Okay.
Is it okay to do something I didn't enjoy?
Yeah, that's fine.
As is tradition.
When they went across the Ilshara, why did both of them go?
What do you mean okay, so the boundary.
Yeah.
So you mean when
Why did
Davian at the same
Fessy
time?
and Davian go at the same time? Because Fessy was the one who had the speed bubble, and Davian could have stayed behind and kept the door open.
Well, I don't think the
Fessy
door would
says
have.
it. She said,
Yeah, go ahead.
no. Didn't she say he's the only one who could talk to Ishel?
Yeah, I know the story said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I believed it, but I'm saying they did specify.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little bit of grace, and here's why. These are 15-year-olds, or at least according to the story. I think they're like 15 or 16-year-olds. I'm like, I've done some stupid stuff as a 15-year-old, and if I thought, let me just go through this door. Yeah, I've done that. I've walked into some places that probably shouldn't. I'll be honest. So yeah, I could see this being like, oh, we did not leave anybody. We didn't leave a lookout. Classic mistake. Next time we should learn. Guess what? They're gonna learn. Okay, they're trapped now. So I'll give a pass on
they
that.
had the thought that it would be impossible to open the door from the inside, and that if it closed, they would be stuck. And then they decided that the safest way forward was to just
keep going.
Both go through.
I will say they were using their brains just a little bit by being like, oh, maybe there's a door by each boundary, like little marker thing, or maybe it's like by location. And they were trying to think of it, but yet they still didn't act on it and be like, okay, we should just have a rope or like anything, like any kind of ideas to test this and be like, let's not go in right away. But that's fine. They're kids. They're kids. What are you gonna do?
The door disappeared entirely, so it's not like there wasn't just they would go through and then just not be able to open the door from the other side. It vanished.
We don't know if it could have been held open though. But no,
I
the
don't
real
think it
answer
would.
to this is that there's a prophecy somewhere which says they're both going to go through. So that's why they made the door in the first place. It was programmed to let two people go through and then collapse.
I think it's programmed with their traits, their signatures. Although,
And then Fessy ran away.
yeah, that was rough. She gave up. I don't blame her. All right, Yeah, all right, let's get into that. Why not? Okay, we're in the spoiler section. I don't care if we hop around. Do you guys care?
No.
No
We've
way.
read the book. There's so much going on here. So Fessy ran away. Ooh, but to be fair, Davian was drawn on her, be like, look, I'm gonna die, so I'm just gonna have to take your energy. So I feel bad for Fessy a little bit. I don't blame her. Be like, no, I'm out of here. This dude's a dead weight. Kinda. Maybe we should go get help. Ah, yeah, I don't blame her too much, but it does hurt. That one hurt. What do you guys think?
I want to know what she saw. Because she's
Yeah,
obviously
why was
seen
she
something.
spooked?
And I want to know what
Yep.
it was that she saw.
What do you think? Maybe it's like a con mechanism around the city, or do you think maybe it's some kind of like aura of the Venerate Melvier
No,
that
I
was
think I
inside
think
there?
it's something that she's seen in the past. So, with her sight, or the future sight thing, she's seen being there before.
You just need to
Okay,
enunciate the capital S.
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, the scene and no C in the scene. Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe she saw the meeting with Melvier and was like, "All right, that's not gonna end well," and wants to bail for. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, or maybe we won't.
Maybe she
Well,
saw her death. Maybe she saw her being imprisoned. Maybe she saw Davian being imprisoned. It was like, if I
Ooh,
stick around you, I'm gonna get caught too.
that's fair.
Hmm.
Yeah, she could go for help. She's a fast lady.
Though, didn't Davian tell her that he saw himself being imprisoned?
I don't remember that. If that did, I'm
I'm
not saying
pretty
it didn't
sure he
happen. I
did.
just don't remember it. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot going there.
I have a vague recollection of someone telling both of them that they were. I think it might have been Aaron actually. He saw something which was unusual because he doesn't see a lot. And I'm pretty sure that he mentioned to Davian that both him and Fessy were somewhere. Or maybe
I
it was
think
Sterling,
Davian.
I don't know.
I think Davian had a line that was like, and then I told him about my vision, about my dream,
Hmm.
and like that's how we. And that
Yeah.
that was the dream where we first saw the metallic plates being held together with blue essence,
We saw that before? Man, my
like warp
memory is bad on
floor.
this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
we saw it before it turned into a bridge.
Man, I was still picturing some cool little like ocean bridge that just like pulls up out of nowhere. All right. Yeah, I don't remember that.
Which seems like an interesting concept. It's very akin to like smart matter in more sci-fi settings.
Well, there's a lot of hint, I think, at sci-fi here. With some of the Venerate has said like a few things that it just felt like, oh, this kind of sci-fi. The torture batteries. There's a few things that were just like, all right, this kind of like is magic, but they put a lot of science into it. I feel like they have literally pillars of stuff that's powered like an entire boundary is has generators really.
Yep.
So to have that concept, I think is interesting when there's no cars around here or anything else that like, oh, we have a generating for power. These people can use essence. So on a smaller scale, maybe one of these immortal people would be like, hey, why don't we like stick this on a wheel or something like that and get some motions going. People be zooming around doing things. I think that's not beyond a 10-minute conversation of somebody who can be like, oh yeah, if we're gonna make an entire massive boundary wall, maybe we could make like a little bike that's powered by someone who rides essence and we could have a postal service and all kinds of stuff going on and things wouldn't happen as crazily here. I don't know. What do you guys think about that as far as their
Well, I guess the
uh,
people who have the
Postal
knowledge of
service?
that are the ones who can also create portals to jump wherever they want to go.
There seems to be something about the law of decay and also about the ultimate source of essence, which I think the Earth's core possibly produces essence and then it like filters up.
I would is no, I don't think it's the Earth's core. I would think it'd be more akin to like the sun because if plants have essence that you can
When
drain and humans have their own essence
when
and
Caden
they
makes a portal, the
yeah.
power sources that he taps for it are deep underground. Like that's how he like anchors it in place and feeds it with power.
Mm.
He shoves down through Dilannis's intricate workings and breaks them in that manner. But it's I think it was like 2 conduits that he made, and
Do you think this is like a mega structure?
like
This planet?
where do the Cyrariai Cyrariums draw their power from? Because that's not people. That's not from tributaries,
No.
as far as we know. Pretty sure that's from just from the Earth. And they mentioned that the wells have been, or at least some of the wells have been drained of power, or mostly drained.
Can you
So
drain the Earth assassins? Or maybe
that's
a
what I'm wondering.
section of
That's
it?
what I'm wondering. Yeah.
I just want to see that's the next thing. Okay. I'm gonna predict that there's a like a race of humans or whatever you want to call them, a new race that pops up and they're a biker gang like Mad Max and they got all these powered essence vehicles because they drain the wells and they're like, we're here to take over this entire nation and this is gonna be their land. That's what they're gonna do. They're from the sea, they're mermaids. That's what they're just gonna ride up out of the ocean. Because the ocean is closer, they're deep underground like Mariana's Trench, they're the mer people. All right, so if you're saying Kyptan, if essence is from underground, the deeper you are, don't you think like there'd be fish and monsters and like leviathans and stuff like that that'd be like super powered with essence, like these, like what we saw at the
Maybe
end as
around like oceanic vents.
Okay.
Maybe there's some truly unique tube worms in this world.
Well, what about those crab things that attack near the end?
Maybe them.
They could be essency beings.
But our example of like SNC beings is the Lith, and but they did survive deep in the earth.
That's true. Little magma people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who knows?
All right, that was a weird tangent. What were we
I'm
talking about?
still lost on the quantification of essence, on like how much does a Cyraria make, how much does a tributary make,
Oh,
like
we're not gonna.
what's equivalent to what there.
Okay, that's a point actually. Back on track, at least that I do want to talk about is Asha being like, I've used one drop of my power, and she did something incredible. And then 2 scenes later, it's like, I've used just one drop of my power, and she did something that's supposed to be like 10 times more incredible. I'm like,
Yep.
okay. And then she does it again, and she just released a literal, I kid you not, it's like Dragon Ball Z. She did a Kamehameha, where she basically incinerated an entire island. And then she hits you with the phrase again, where I rolled my eyes. She's like, I just used only one drop of my power. And I'm like, what is this? So
She
you're
didn't say
saying the
drop
bulk
there,
of
but
your
she did say like not in
iota or
appreciable
something like
amount. And
that?
it's
Like,
like
yeah. It's like, you just destroyed an island. I don't think you're that powerful, but if you are, you, you could just do whatever you want. Like, just destroy the boundary in one hit. Do whatever, I don't know, whatever you want to make a new boundary. I don't know. That one threw me off a little bit. That was a little annoying. I don't know if anybody else felt that way too, but
no, I did. I absolutely did.
okay. But
Also,
I'm not going to
the
give
fact
it.
that she jumped down a mountain in 2 steps.
That's another. Yeah, yeah. She's superhero landing right on her knees. I know she did. I know she did it too.
And she like instantly was there. She like
No,
even
that's
though
what I'm
she
saying.
landed
She literally,
in a
she's
crater that was
Superman.
under her.
She Superman jumped, like just like in the movies, like boom, he
No,
jumped and it was like supersonic and just bam.
faster than Superman though.
Oh, you okay? You're
And on a
thinking
different trajectory.
not
Because
just power, but
Superman can
cognition to
fly.
get there.
She
You're
can't
thinking.
fly. She
You're
has to go on a
thinking.
ballistic trajectory of some sort.
But does she have
She
cognitive
wasn't
powers to like
flapping
boost her
in the
speed?
air.
Or do you think she can move that fast while running? Or is it cognitive speed like the Flash where she's like faster, kind of like an augur almost?
I don't think so. I think she just like boosted her legs and then effectively teleported, but obeyed none of the laws of physics in between.
Well, I mean, she's about to shoot a laser beam the size of 180 degrees, so
Which should prove that essence doesn't have reactionary force. But
Yeah, you're right. She should have went right back into the boundary by like boing, a little bouncy ball. That's what she should have done. But she'd been fine because she's invincible. Because even if she hit the
Yeah.
boundary, she probably would have broke the boundary on accident. She's very
I'm
powerful
just
right
I'm
now.
just saying that if Asha had like actually used propulsive force to get somewhere that quickly, she would have basically fallen off of the edge of the cliff, and when her head was pointed down, she could have jumped. Like,
All right, we're getting up.
what-
I don't want to get too far into physics. I feel like we
like
went a little off there. We don't need to get into trajectories, okay?
I'm just impressed that Asha was able to use that level of power in the drop of a hat. Like suddenly she's got all of this power and she knows exactly how to use it.
Yeah, it made the mention where she had not tried it before. She was just trying to be good, and then all of a sudden she can do everything. That was
I
weird.
can't help but say
Good
that's
luck.
very Wheel of Time.
Just like the show too. Yeah.
Yeah. Except Wheel of Time has the excuse of like when you're tapping into the one power, like you're experiencing the flow of creation, and that does like enhance your mental state a bit, and it has like the power has its own ideas. Essence does not have ideas.
Yeah, I just feel like if we go back to the start of the first book where they're like learning how to use their powers, it seems like the use of essence is a lot more structured than you just will it to happen and it will happen. But I feel
Yes,
like
it absolutely does.
it's become a little bit more like you will it to happen and it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, a
Yep.
little more hand wavy. Okay, Yeti, do you have any thoughts on the Asha
All I had to do
Kamehameha?
is focus.
Um, no, I mean I glazed over for like legitimately most of that section of the book near the end because everything was just kept happening. I'm like, I don't care.
What?
Yeah, I didn't.
That was like the
I
only
was more
Asha scene
interested.
I cared about.
I was more interested. Well, I don't. I mean, if we want to stick on Asha, I liked her with Brashada, or who Brashada was. I liked their traveling together. I like that stuff was more interesting to me than when she got the power, and then it was just like, oh, you're gonna have to go into this like spiked little football shaped thing and be there for eternity. Whereas, like, I think that's interesting for what's going to happen to her in the future. Like, is she just going to be in this thing for a whole book and just sidelined? But as far as her character, I was more interested with her going back and forth with who I thought was Prashada. And I've read the book, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was interesting. I did like that. Um, the surprise was kind of cool, even though it ruined my prediction. Um,
I'm
yeah,
kind of mixed on it because I was like in the first episode, I was so hyped for Brashada, and then like when she showed up, I'm like, wait, does is like
like
Brashada Nethgala? Do I remember that right? And I'm like, why did I think she was cool? It's kind of like sucks. I was like,
Yeti
she
was
does
leading us.
nothing except for that one cool scene in the first book,
Yeah,
and
Yep.
Yeti
then it
knowingly
happened. I'm
led
Yep.
like,
us in the wrong
it is
direction.
Nethgala.
Was
I,
So I
was
mean, it
that
was a cool reveal, but
was that Brashada in the first book actually Brashada?
I assume so, only because I'm assuming when she got was able to use essence, that's when she was Nethgala, right? I don't, or I could be wrong. I was assuming
I
that's when
mean,
when he finds her in the woods.
you gotta think that if she was Nethgala, the very first scene we see her in, she had already been around other people because in the Gilshar or whatever that used those little things that see where essence is. If she
There's
was that close to
Right.
that all the time, I feel like she would have been found out. So
Right.
I think that's
only if
why
they
she
touched her
got
with one, or if she used essence.
no. It's anything nearby
I thought it
in the
was
first
only if
book.
they used essence.
No,
The
that you
finest
have to
thing.
either use essence or be touched by one,
Oh, well, maybe. I don't honestly. I don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
which is how they had a card table game with them.
Right. In the first book with Caden was
Yeah,
like when she killed Asar. Was that I don't know if they described her as looking like Brashada at that point or not, but like I said, I assumed it was like when Brashada said Tal Kamar, I did his favor, now, I'm done with him or whatever. I don't know if Nithgala was hanging around. He was like, oh, you talked to my man? I'm going to take your body over. Like, I assume that's what
Probably.
happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past her. That's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
He gave her a sword. That's signing someone's death warrant if you're Talcamar.
Yeah, I mean, it's a name sword. It's got a name, okay? If Bilbo gave me Sting, I would clearly expect every single one of you to try and kill me to get it. So
And we got the rest of the swords too.
we did. They were listed. I think I made a note
Yep.
of that. I don't think I made a note of what the swords' names were, but I was like, oh, we did get all the swords.
Knowing, Fate, Sight, Thief, and Whisper.
Oh, I call it Thief.
So Fate is Licanius, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that it's the only one that like has a special name in a different language.
Well, it's kind of like the original that they kind of wanted, though. So that's fair. I could see why that is.
Wasn't it
It was
the last
it was
one
the
that
final
was
project, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it was like the end goal.
It's like naming your project Final.
Hey, all right. If the final works, then it can be named Final. I think it's fine. All right, let's move on. What do you guys think about Whir? Mirlyah, why don't you start out? What do you think about Whir for this half of the book?
I not exactly about Were himself, but I'm a little bit sad that his mum died. Of all of the people that they
Me
could
too.
have killed off,
Me too.
they killed off his mum, who was such an
Yeah.
interesting character.
She was getting there. She was getting to interesting status.
Right.
She was close. You had to honestly, I didn't like her, but I felt like we put in the time, and then we were gonna get some nice interactions in book 3 while they're trying to like back and forth, and then they killed her. I'm like, oh, we're not gonna get it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
We're
It was
gonna
like
get him
the
talking with
redemption arc.
Delby.
It was like the
Yeah.
redemption arc for her was just too hard, so he just killed her off instead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeti, what'd you think about Whir and his mom?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was like a point I was trying to make in the beginning where they just cut these things off short. Like she had a lot of story that could have been told through her, and she's just like, I felt like the author needed a death, maybe another tough death. And it's like, okay, let's just kill Whir's mom. It's like, well,
Another
no,
fridging.
I mean, she was,
Kill his sister.
yeah,
This was the perfect time. I was like, kill his sister. It'll not unite him and his mother, but it'll give them a more interesting dynamic. Yeah, and then they leave the sister alive. That made me a little angry. I was like, no, you gotta kill her. That'd have been cool.
I don't even if you needed any of them to die. I mean, those weren't the ones that would have been like an impactful death. Maybe if Whir himself died, and then
Well, we know Asha
his
can't
mom-
die.
Well, she
Wow.
can't, I guess so. But I don't know. It just, but I to his storyline, I did like some of the smaller part of it. I guess I did like when he was reading his father's journal entries, little by little. I thought that was kind of cool to see him put the pieces together, even if he was kind of in denial for a bit of it.
Yeah, it was like
led
that.
up to Aaron's not really confession, coward. But so I like those scenes. But other than that, I'm pretty checked out on Whir. That's
right.
going into the third book. He was like one of the main things where I'm like, I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like his whole storyline was like, I think Kip said he gives that speech that was so lackluster. He's like, hey, like this big moment where he's going to give a speech to everyone. He's like, hey, listen, let's all just go out to this place. I'll show you how bad it is. If you don't believe me, then I'm out. And it's like, what? What kind of speech is that?
All right, hold on.
And his mom's like, "Are you really being honest?" He's like, "Yeah, whatever." She's like, "Yeah, let's go." I'm like, I was like, "Whatever." He doesn't even care.
But I can relate. That's exactly what I would do. I would be like, no. I'm not giving some grand speech. I'd be like, no, just come with me. If you don't believe me, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just gonna leave. That's exactly what I do. Is like, all right, I'm with you, Whir. I'm with you. He lost me in the first half because I was getting bored of this politic kind of stuff. He's like, oh, we gotta solve this problem. They don't like me. Just be like, let's go check it out.
That's another thing. I don't mean to keep ranting, but about the politics of that, where it's just like, oh, Terrace was like, "Oh, sorry, but you hear about your mom? She's gonna try to come for your throne." He's like, "Well, actually, she can't. I'm like the rightful heir." And he's like, "Well, actually, the loophole where if they vote." And he's like, "Oh, of course, the loophole." I'm like, "What? They're just making these things." Okay,
They're
so this
doing
is a new problem that was never alluded to. I don't know. It's just
Well, they needed a
frustrating.
problem politically, like instantly, and then also
Yeah,
to be able to be solved.
yeah, I know, but it was just very obvious that that was the case, and it's like, well, this is fine.
Yep. Yeah, I see Kip's nodding his head. I know he feels very similarly. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we shelve the word topic?
The discussion of when is mind controlling people appropriate was interesting.
Uh-huh. And apparently it's only when you really feel like it and you keep the stone in your pocket.
And only your mom.
Only mom, because mom will guess what? She'll eventually forgive you if you just tell her to. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. She'll give
Yeah.
you a heartfelt speech about how yes, you've used this stone honorably, but not everyone could remain such, and then she'll die.
Yep.
And then you'll
Give you
just hear
something to
that
live
voice in
for.
your head for the next book.
Yeah.
Every
Yep.
time you're deciding whether or not to use that stone. Unless Weird dies real fast. I'm not expecting it, but
No, I feel like there's too much invested. His mother's died. His dad was controlled and died. His sister almost died.
His
He ain't gonna die if he does until the very end. I feel
but
like
will he fake die for like 2 chapters? Because the story seems to
that's a
like that.
real possibility. Yes, that's a big possibility. But I
Okay.
won't believe
Okay.
he's dead
Who
until the
cares?
end of the book. Yeah.
Do you believe that
Um,
Davian's dead at the end of the epilogue?
no. Nope.
No.
No, that
No. I
that dude is a venerate, and Licanius, like you said, I don't think it was charged. I
think it was
think
charged. Okay.
Caden knew he knew it. Okay, he saw ahead to the future. He's like, mm-mm, can't have my only friend, his only friend as Caden. That
Weird.
he's
What
like,
about Weird?
this, he don't care about him.
Well, yeah, I really think that. Yeah, I agree. I think Caden and Davian are such a better friendship than Weir and Davian. Like that's what's like. I don't know.
The
I was
guys
more
who haven't
invested in
spent that
those
much
two.
time together, but trust each other, and was like, okay, this dude
Well,
trusts
they
me.
actually showed them like in the beginning of the book, like Caden saving them, and at least it's kind of interesting dynamic of Davian having to trust him. Like, do I trust
Yeah,
this
I
guy? But he's
apologize.
doing. They actually kind of showed it. You know.
I didn't mean that sarcastically. I meant that in actuality, like sarcastically, mostly being like Wur and Davian don't feel like too much of friends compared to being
Yeah.
friends for like years. Whereas Caden and
Except the very
not that they
beginning.
do,
But
yeah, when they're at wherever they're Caladel, I was like, all right, these kind of seem
right.
like friends. After that, not so much, just because they're all doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but yeah, yeah. I don't think he's dead. I
Can
think
we?
Davian's alive. Babian is
So can we
alive.
Davian's
talk about that scene
alive.
now?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's just bring it in.
I mean,
Why don't we hear
we
from
talked about
Mirlyah?
it in the first episode, right?
Well, yeah, Mirlyah. What do you think about this scene?
I don't know. It's this whole concept of time travel and affecting the past and the future just doesn't seem to be a thing in this book. Like,
That's true. It's very weird because you have them thinking they see the future if multiple people see it, but if one person sees it, it's not true always, but it could be.
but
And then the same with the past.
they're also using those visions as ways to subvert what's going to happen. But then they end up causing it to happen. Like I don't know whether or not they're actually able to change the future by traveling through time. And I still don't quite understand because when Davian traveled back in time the first time, there was something about his body being left behind in his time.
Yeah.
Which is why he kept he got pulled back to his time because the flow of time was trying to fix itself.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether or not them traveling through the Javet means that they're only sending part of their spirit, soul, whatever, to this other place. So him getting killed by Talcumar didn't actually kill him. I don't know. it's a,
That's an I didn't think about that. Like, did the kill actually kill him, or did it just send him back to his body in this real time?
yeah.
Interesting.
Another point in the
Very
favor that he's
interesting.
still alive.
That he's still
That's
alive. Yep.
fascinating. Still alive. Kyptan, do you think he's dead?
No, I don't think he's dead.
Okay, so we're all on the same page. Okay. Well, I'm not going to ask Yeti. He's just going to keep smiling deviously into the camera.
I know exactly what
Okay.
happened. It's the one thing. That
No, you don't.
definitely
You
is
can't
very-
remember. You don't know what happens. You
That's
forgot.
part. It's my favorite part of the book. I remember.
No, don't say that. Okay. Let's jump into some least favorite scenes. I feel like we could use a downer for a little bit, and then we'll jump into the favorite scenes to kick off the end of the episode. Okay, so let's Kyptan, hit us with a least favorite.
Ooh, a least favorite scene.
This one, you're not allowed to. I don't think I have that much of a downer right now.
Let's see. Least favorite scene. It's got to be when they sent both of them through the door. That's
Yeah.
absolutely my least favorite
Really
scene.
good.
I was like, this is stupid. They both know it's stupid, and they're doing it anyways.
I know
And
when you hit that because that's when the chat blew up because the group chat just went bam. Kyptan's like chapter this, spoiler. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I gotta read this chapter really quick to see where you hit this snag.
And apparently they keep these armies that attack the barrier all the time fairly far away from the barrier. And
They were all
they
over the
like
place. I didn't understand that. Like,
all
they
over
were
the place. I didn't get any of the like geography of
this.
how they were evading them because they were coming from every direction, and
Yeah,
yet
the sense of
they
direction
snuck
was
by them.
really weird. But also for an army, like, why is an army of that size
They got to go back
so
to their hidden
separated?
oasis, I guess.
Why are they so separated? But okay, all right. Because what I'm picturing is almost like a
There's got to
little.
be like a series of like dreadlords or something that are
Yeah,
one
I
per
don't know.
oasis, and they each field an army. I don't know.
Well, that is true. The blind do have that like leader that kind of controls them and gives them a little bit of power boost. But
Yeah, the
still,
telesthesia, which is like a 1 to 12 ratio.
yeah, because they're the 13th or whatever it is. I think.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's just a weird geography because I thought it was like a
Who
crescent
still
moon almost.
no one has ever targeted in all of these books the people without the helmets on.
Are they not? I thought they were wearing helmets too. It's just like a different helmet. They're not wearing helmets at all.
It's not it leaves the eyes open at the very least. But so far, no military or attacker has prioritized those targets.
Well, I think, and hear me out, it's because
You gotta
the
leave it for book
current
3.
militaries are so incompetent that they're all dead by the first 12.
But they were headed by supposedly competent people.
We're on the side of the people who think they're competent. This is not competency. Okay. I don't think
Fine. There was not a lot of
they're
competency to
literally
go
getting
around.
overrun by like a less than like 1,000 people basically took down a nation of these things. So I
Yep.
think 12 people is enough to be like, we ain't looking past the first 12 people we see. They're just gonna be like, panic. Either they die or they kill one and they're like, yeah, and then they die by the next one. So I don't think they got that far.
They were saying out of range to the back, but like we just have to trust that long range essence fire is impossible.
Unless you're Asher.
Yeah, I guess. Or maybe Caden. Maybe he could do it, but Weir can't.
No.
And so
Caden
none of the
could.
other red robes could either.
Caden can do anything. Caden's our boy.
Caden and Asha can do anything.
Well, Asha for
And
now, but
Normal
she's in a
gifted
torture.
are useless.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Yeti, why don't you hit us with a least favorite scene?
All right, so one that really ticked me off. I kind of alluded to it in the non-spoiler section. So Signer, when he just nonchalantly says he killed Rowan, just putting an end to that whole arc.
Yep.
What was the point of him? It's just they're like, oh, how'd you get that bracelet? Well, I killed the kid. I took it off. What? We've been waiting to see what happens to that guy this whole half, and just really Signer in general. I'm not. I mean, what's his name? Jack in the Box, Jackaroo, whatever his real name is. Another
Jakaris.
yeah, Jakaris.
Jakari.
Another. They're like, oh, he's Jakaris. I'm like, okay. I was like, we don't
Jakari.
care. What is
Zakari.
I was
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was a little. Signer was a bit weird.
It's like another thing of them rushing, but he's not putting the effort into really building this guy up. And then the one villain that kind of did build up, Rowan, who was kind of despicable, and it's like, oh, this is an augur who really abuses his power that he has. Like, is everything that Weir's mom fears, and he's gone within half a book. Off screen, mind you. He's just killed, I guess. It's like, this is. I was like, okay, well, I'm just checking out of this section now. I don't. It's
Just
fine.
like a tree.
So
Yeah, no, that was a side story. Rowan was a side story.
yeah,
This is not the series you want side stories. Either expand or this goes on the cutting room floor. This is an 800-page book. You can cut that section out if that's what it is.
but
otherwise, all the augurs would be virtuous except Signer and the Venerate.
right. Well,
yeah, I guess.
But he was more interesting than Signer, I think. Signer's maybe more mysterious because he keeps popping up and whatever, but Rowan had beliefs, and he's insane and evil, kind of like with he thinks his powers make him able to, be able to do this to people, and he thinks it's for a common good, it's a good, I don't know, he just felt more interesting than Signer, and he's not even Signer. His name's Jackarus or something. I was like, he's just got the secret past that Terrace and that a guy whose name starts with an L. They're like, oh, Jackarus is back. Oh, okay, well, great, I guess. I don't know. It's just,
yeah,
I don't know. So that kind of peeves me off.
How
that's
did
fair.
we feel about the revelation of Thel?
Of what?
Well,
Of Lyman Cardai, Thel? His secret identity? Who had been
I'm still lost.
externally
Alright, so
shape changed?
Wait,
Terrace's buddy.
Maybe I did not pay attention then. I must have glazed. So Signer Jakaris is Thel, Terrace's buddy.
No. Jakaris gave memories to Thel of the Shateth. And also
create.
to Terrace about the boundary,
Right.
and then also to an undisclosed third party about undisclosed third topics.
Okay. That's starting to ring a bit of a bell. Okay. I even finished this book like 2 days ago, so there's no excuse. I just didn't pay attention. That's my bad.
well, that was why Layman decided that he hesitated when Asher fell off the bridge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I thought was
He
cool.
was like,
I was like,
my life is not my own. I must preserve this knowledge. That's what Layman Cardai thought. But then he's also totally willing to just let it die when he dies. He hasn't made up his mind yet. He's had 20 years, but he hasn't made it up yet.
I don't know. I can't think for this guy. We got a lot going on in here. All right. I can't put myself in his headspace. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Mirlyah, you have a least favorite?
It's a least favorite. It was not so much a scene, but it's a storyline, and that's the Ashell storyline. Because when she died, and then Davian brought her back, supposedly, I was like, she's not back. It was really obvious. Well,
Yeah,
it
it was
is
really
really
obvious that
obvious.
something was
Completely
going
different
on.
personality. Yeah.
And but it that concept of she's back, that everyone thinks that she's back, is what makes this kind of like I don't like it, but at the same time I like the whole hive mind concept that has started. And now that Ishelle's back across the boundary, I wonder whether or not we're getting some StarCraft Kerrigan action happening.
Ooh, good point. That'd be cool. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
that would be cool.
to your
Okay.
point, it is frustrating, like watching characters not notice signs. If I had a friend who I'd been traveling with and training with just start staring at doors and staring off into just space for like 5 minutes at a time, I'd be like, you were either concussed or possessed or something. But they're just like, she's been acting a little strange. You just saw spikes.
She also died. She actually died.
Yeah, she died. And this is a world.
And now she's acting like she's being controlled.
Yeah, they fought against echoes. They know that people come back from the dead in this world.
Right. Yeah, that you're exactly right. They
So
know
where's
about
your
echoes.
excuse?
They should know that people. Yeah, they should be aware of this. Davian, what are you doing?
I know they
No, he's got a
read
lot on
her
his plate.
quote read capital R, but still.
Yeah. Davian is canonically able to pick out mind control signals being sent from one person to another. But not these. Maybe they're just so much smaller or more unique than what Aaron was doing. I don't know.
I think it's just because it's a hive mind. So maybe it's like, oh, it's not telepathic, even though technically in our brains it is. It's just the way their brain functions. Like, that's all one brain, synaptic nerves to the air or something.
There's got to be some sort of connection.
It must be something in the spears that they chuck at everyone. Because even
in the poison.
Well, because it went through their body. I don't think the poison, because in the shadows, that I don't know.
They got spiked.
I don't think.
Well, then when all the people got spiked, and then just as they were trying, the thing that killed Galadra was one of these come back to life. I'd been pierced by a spear of the Yettibeats.
Maybe Galadra is in the hive mind now. Maybe they're going to have a confrontation at the nest.
Ooh.
Maybe she's not dead.
Cool.
Yep. Maybe Weir gets his mom back in a different body.
Lucky him.
You could just give her some augur powers and she can shapeshift. That'd be fine. She'll have fun.
Maybe she becomes a big bad and like kills all the gifted, driven mad by the hive mind.
Well, if Ishelle is an Yettibeats, I forgot she's got augur powers. So what can the Yettibeats now do with augur powers as one of their own? So that'd be fun. I think that'd be cool.
Ooh. Possession without impalement, maybe.
Huh? Like Rowan. Yeah. That'd be cool. Interesting. As far as the least favorite scene, I think I hit on it a little bit earlier. It's supposed to least. And one of my favorite scenes was the Kamehameha Asha superpower phase where she's constantly like, I'm just going to go ham. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, it just really bothered me every time she's like, this is my 1% of my power. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. I guess I didn't like the dialogue. But I did enjoy all the sand creatures and crabs and just murdering shadows and just trying to protect them, I guess. And she's like, no, we got bigger fish to fry. These fish. And she just goes after them. I'm like, what happened to all of this saving the boundary at any cost? You can see things just like not going well. And you're just like, no, I could save these shadows when they should be running and they're just chilling and trying to fight these things. I don't know.
They were all gonna die. All the shadows were gonna die.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna die if the boundary goes down. Everybody.
They're part of her power source. She needs all of them for the boundary. No, she doesn't.
And if she was this powerful, she's this powerful. Why is she waiting until now to use this? Because she's afraid of a little mark? No,
she had no
idea.
You
do whatever you want. You just go nuts.
No
you can do whatever you want. I don't understand. She pissed me off a little bit. Okay, that's my least favorite scene. Yeah. But yeah, I love the Kamehameha. I even said I was like Kamehameha, and she's just going nuts. That was cool. That was cool at the end. That was cool. Um,
She had to do her superhero landing. She had to jump down from the mountain.
yeah, yes, she did.
She had to let a third of them die first.
All right, well, Kip, what is your favorite scene?
Ooh.
Oh.
If you don't have one, we can pick an extra one. It's fine.
I liked Signer's like revelation of his motivations
Okay.
and calling them out for like they're so mad that he killed Cole, but like they attacked him first.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a good scene. He's like,
Yeah.
"What would you do if an augur came at you?" So that's true.
Yeah. When there's three of them, you're
I mean,
under.
Right,
he
yeah.
did seem severely overpowered compared to them. I don't buy his like, oh, you guys were all such a threat. No, they weren't.
Yeah, they're still children, but still.
He was faster and more powerful than any of them,
Yeah.
which he proved by viciously murdering one of them. But I did enjoy that at least.
Okay.
Nethgala's getting more interesting. I'll say that.
I really wanted her to be Kara. I was kind of disappointed. Now,
He and Davian have a thing now, which, as we've already established, Davian probably is Talcomar. But he's the Talcomar of the future, so maybe they finally come to some sort of relationship, where she's like his subservient. I don't know.
You don't see any Davian Caden action going on. I just watched RRR, so
This book,
romances
no.
are really on my mind right now.
It's
So I just
not
need
it's
them
not
to
in
like.
this book.
All
no,
right, sorry.
I don't see that either, unfortunately.
It Davian Asha endgame 100%.
I don't want that. I wanted Wern Brashada, but apparently Brashada was dead when I made that prediction, so that kind of made me more angry.
Sucker.
Yeah, so I don't really care too much about Wern anymore. He can go
No.
rule his little kingdom in peace, I guess. Well, in
We're
chaos,
we're
he's gonna run.
and
He's gonna go crazy.
Desia,
Desia.
maybe. I don't know.
Nah, I don't care about her. I don't care. I don't like her.
I mean, are they
She's
just
an archer.
They were shipped out.
when we get back to her and her brother, is that going to be like a whole different book? Because that feels like it was being written for a spin-off series. Like,
Well, so was the Rowan, and so was all this other stuff. There was a lot of stuff in here that.
oh, they're going south to do a quest line about some creditors, which is a significantly less world-ending threat.
Yeah, it's like it's just gang members. They're just trying to like you're literally a champion with a sword, like a champion. You threw a duel with masters, and you're
Yeah.
afraid of gang members because you did a shark. What is it? A loan shark? No, like it's fine. Just go beat them up. I don't understand the issue here. You have friends that are literally superpowered individuals, and you're just like, no. I'm afraid
Even
of
a
these dudes.
champion swordsman is afraid of archery, right?
Yeah.
And poison.
Yeah, that was an interesting part. Okay, well let's keep it. We want to keep the tempo upbeat here. We're trying to get the favorite scenes, Kip. I don't want to hear any more of this.
Oh yeah.
Let's go, Yeti. Give us a favorite scene. What do you got?
This is my favorite scene, but this might be controversial to you three. I loved seeing Andon get murked, his head caved in when that one Venerate came and effed stuff up. So
No,
just
no.
it proves my point.
No.
He is a fine wingman, but just an all-time bad bodyguard, and I think that proved my point that I was saying last episode. His first time, he got a bolt to the stomach, and this time his head got caved in. He did nothing. And again, great person,
No.
great wingman. He did a lot for Weir's relationship life, but it was a cool scene, and I was happy
No.
to see it.
Hard disagree. Andon was awesome.
Hard disagree.
Should have definitely killed Wer's sister instead. That would have been interesting. And then Andon would have been like, "Oh no, I can't believe I wasn't strong enough to save your sister too, or whatever."
Yeah,
And still
another
get
person I
Andon
let
the
down.
wingman. Yeah. Dang. No, I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die. That one I didn't want.
Yeah, I like that whole scene though, just in general. Her coming in, it was kind of like a terrorist attack, like the way he kind of described it, where it was like
Yeah,
rumbling.
it was. That
I was
was
like, oh my
cool. That
god.
was interesting. Because like they didn't really understand what was going on. They're just like, there's this dude, sorry, this lady just comes in and just starts going ham, just killing people, and they're just like, what do we do? Nothing. Not our best people can't do a damn thing. Like there's nothing we can do. So that was
Yeah.
cool. Isilia went nuts. That was fun. I like that. That was a good scene. Good scene. Uh, I don't think Yeti should be picking scenes that people die as his favorites, but that's fine. Mirlyah,
Especially
can you
people who
save us?
just got introduced.
Yeah, come on. All right, Mirlyah, give us a favorite scene, and please, please no deaths.
So I was actually I had two favorite scenes, and one of them was I've called it Isilia's meltdown, looking for Talcumar. Other than Andrew's
Ooh,
death,
more death.
just the way that she came in, just like screaming and yelling at everyone and just killing everyone in her path. I just thought that was great.
It was cool.
The-
It was interesting. Not, all right, let's tone down the loving of death, but it was pretty cool the way she did it. Yeah.
the
Can you
other
imagine having brunch during that? Eating brunch, and you're like, oh, what's
That's what
going
we're
on
picturing.
here?
We're picturing people like in a coffee shop having brunch, like Eddie
Yeah, that's
said,
what I mean.
and then just this lady just goes nuts because she's obviously not in a good mental space after being tortured for 2,000 years. So can you blame her? But still, she's killing a bunch of people.
So my other scene that I liked was a Caden memory, or a Talcumar memory, of a conversation that he had with Asa, of the Venerate.
Okay.
I like Asa. I think he's my favorite Venerate because the things that he says to Talcumar, and even at the end of the last book when he was the memory thing, because he was the one who was supposed to bring back Talcumar's memories.
Yes, and failed.
Yeah, help.
And failed.
Oh, okay.
So he's the one who got killed by Nethgala. And I felt like he seems to be the one who cares the most about Talcumar and wants to get him back to the person that he was before he went on this weird tangent off to the side. And so I really liked that scene. And also had one of the quotes that I'd actually written down from it, which was, they both lived long enough to see how people, societies even, could succumb to mob morality. The desire for acceptance, the desire to feel like they are fighting for something. Too many were willing to base their beliefs around such shallow things. It was rarely about what was actually right or wrong. Such influences were understandable, but they were unquestionably to be avoided.
Good quotes. Also, Kip's gonna hate it, but that was one of the most popular quotes, and it was like that was it. I was like, this is a good one. Here we go. Yeah, that was nice.
It's funny. This author does show potential with scenes like that. Like he clearly can craft. Like, it's just a shame that he takes these characters out of the story so early. But like, he really can. I do think he has promising talent. It's just so far and few between those moments. Like, because that's when we find out kind of his plan, right? To literally murder everyone and himself, so to speak.
Yes.
Talking about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Which, like, I thought was a pretty clear plan.
Yeah, I think
Oh, you
so.
like the
I
plan?
mean,
I
not
did
that
think
we
that,
liked
like,
it, but
definitely one of the plans was to one of the possible plans was to kill everybody and destroy the Javette.
yeah, that's why Licanius was made. So that's why I was like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I assume that was like the main goal was to kill the corrupt individuals, and the reason you're having all these issues, you destroy that, and you should be fine. Um, I don't know. I thought if it was a reveal, I thought the reveal would be different. I thought it would be something I didn't expect.
Maybe
And
there still will be
that's a conversation with
for the third book.
SR where he isn't that where he said he also wants, like, Caden or Talcumar wants endless realities, like that's his goal. And ASR is like, well, I wasn't sure that's possible at first, but you kind of talked me into it. I guess we'll go for it. So, but at least that for me, it makes like clear what his plan was. I didn't, I
We still don't really understand why that's his plan. Like, why are the augurs so bad that he has to kill everyone, including himself?
I think it's just the old. We got too much power. Let's just take away all the power and that'd solve all the problems. When it's like, no, the humans are the issue.
I think the augurs have the ability to break into the Darklands and create additional exits for Shamiloth to influence the world or take it over or send servants to do his bidding. Because that's how Nethgala was created, was through
Yeah, through
him,
Talcamar's
like
rage.
Talcamar opening a portal to the Darklands and breaking her out of it.
Yeah, so if you just get honestly, Shyamalan should be like, everybody gets some augur powers and you all go nuts, cause a little chaos, and then that's it. Like, just get a bunch of people over there.
But it was said that they were disturbing things that were better left alone. And that's why they had
Ooh,
to
I
die.
like that. Feels like Balrog's coming out. Yeah.
The influences are not unobvious.
Yeah, so I did have one favorite scene besides the ones that we mentioned with the whole beheadings and Kamehameha waves and things like that. I did enjoy the Lith being enslaved, not as much as it was a fun scene, but I did like their acceptance as a race of people that were like, all right, we knew things weren't really going to go our way. We've been enslaved. Let's just kind of get this over with. And can we go back to our homeland kind of thing? I was like, all right, so diaspora coming back in. That was interesting. And I can't wait to see what kind of shenanigans they get up to in book 3, going back to their home nine. Yeah.
Prediction: they're doing something to the tributary, to the 5-pillar thing in
Would do
Dorecia.
that. They're obviously very good people that just want to be free. So
Kip didn't trust that for a second. He's like, nope, that was a
yeah.
bad move by Tal.
I mean,
Bad spot
Tal
to
has
drop him off.
Tal has ensured their survival twice now, and they're probably about to kill him, or about to try to, anyways. Again.
Yeah. What other predictions
Again,
you guys got?
sorry.
Go ahead, Yeti.
Well,
No,
to
you're
your
not allowed to
scene,
predict.
Soulution.
Yeah.
No, not predicting. But that scene you talked about with the Lith, I did like that. There was a good character moment too, where before he leaves, he kind of tells Caden off. Not really tells him off, but just like says, Arcane Devade, that's not you. Like you're Talcamar,
Ooh.
good and bad. That was just like
Yeah,
kind
he's
of
like,
a disguise you put on to not accept the the choices you've made and done. So you're Talcamar. You've done bad stuff. You've done
it
good
was a
stuff.
very
That's
good
you.
moment
So
for Caden because it felt like an adult talking to a child that's learning to be responsible. It was like, all right, look, you're a bad person. You can't just avoid that. And Talcamar, well, Caden knows that, and he's trying to come with the acceptance this entire book, which I did like his character
well,
arc of learning
Can't
he's
just give yourself a
Talcamar and
pen name for genocide.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. And like learning to hate himself. And he will.
I wouldn't even say like I think that's the biggest strength. I guess if you could say strength of this series is for me is what is Caden or Talcamar. You say he's a bad person, and yes, he's done bad things, obviously, well, very bad things. But I mean, as Davian is pushing back on, he said, "You've done good things too," and it reminds me of Madir, the guy who was cutting off his arm over and over again. That like conversation he said where Tal's like, "We've been friends for and enemies for a while," and he's just like, "We're just men." He's like, "We're friends, enemies, whatever. We're men. We're just
Yeah.
people." I think that was kind of the author's way of saying that we're all just kind of human and we're gray. His way of saying there's no good,
Yeah.
bad.
Everybody's their own hero. They're all trying to do what they think is best.
You just got to own up to when you make the wrong choices. And in Caden's choice, he made some just awful. Talcamar made some really, really wrong choices. But I do think that's like the most interesting part of the story is that kind of inner dynamic with Caden for me. And that kind of leeches off to Davian and other characters too. But that's more interesting to me than the boundary opening or closing. I don't care.
I mean, some of Talcamar's bad choices were because of his belief in this higher power that was directing him.
L.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Yep.
so he
Fake
thought he
L.
was doing the right thing because this higher power is telling him that he needs to do it. It's like I guess it comes back to the whole having faith in something that you don't know.
Right.
And also changing ethical systems. Like he has to switch over from a virtue ethical system to a utilitarian one. And utilitarianism always is based on some calculus of what exactly the greater good is in every situation, that it becomes really dependent on the information that you accept to like set your guidelines. If you accept that you're saving the world, you can balance anything against that.
Right. Yeah. Which is why I like that main lith guy. He even said he's like, you can, when he's talking about arcane evade, you can call yourself whatever, or you can blame it on, I think he even says you can blame L or whoever, but it's you. It's your, which I still thought was interesting, where it's like, yeah, L did seem like it kind of persuaded him, but at the end of the day, at least the main lith person's like, that was you. You did
Yep.
Talcamar. So it is interesting, and I just wish he would focus more on that, the author, I guess, because that's like really the bread and butter, I think, of the series. I don't know how much you can do that with Ware or Davian or Asha, but I think it works with Caden.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. All right, we're getting a little long. So let's do some final predictions before we wrap it up. Yeti's out. That's it. We're just gonna turn off his camera. He's not allowed to look at us anymore. We don't want to see his face while we do these. But we made a couple predictions already so far. Some not so serious and some kind of serious. Like I do believe. Yeti, you can come back. We trust you. You're fine. We can see your face if you want. But no, I think I think Caden. Sorry, yeah, I think Davian is alive. Davian is alive. I think we're all in agreement on that. Mirlyah, are you? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We're all there. So that means we're all probably wrong. That's fine.
I mean, I do want to know where the skull comes from. If his body wasn't actually there, like.
I mean, hold on now. We're overlooking something that's very obvious. How many arms were in the room that Mildir was cutting off of Caden? Who's to say in this world that a head cannot just be regrown?
Nobody. Absolutely nobody.
Is Talcamar. Okay, this is Talcamar. This dude could just be like, boom, let's just grow this dude back. This is my friend.
Let's grow a new
I
head.
remember now. Yeah.
Yep. Because Davian exists as a cotton pattern, not really as a body, right?
Well, you do have a point. He is dead already. He's always been dead.
Yeah.
So why can't you just grow more inorganic matter? Well, I guess he's still technically organic, but dead organic matter just grows more. Yeah. All right. What else you got? What other ones besides Davian and Caden?
Asha's obviously going to be tempted to go across the barrier to leave, probably during this shift that they mentioned, where every month she has to wake up.
Hold on. You think she's getting out of there every month? You think she's not just going to stay in? And she'll be like,
I think someone's gonna let her out.
Who do you think's going to let her out?
I don't. Maybe Signer, maybe Nethgala.
Oh, I could see Nethgala doing that. Okay.
Because Nethgala can make a portal. She's one of the only people who can.
Yeah.
And that seems to be able to cut through most of their defenses.
All right. Mirlyah, you got any predictions?
I was just thinking of how does Jakaris and Sina and his plan or mission to kill all of the augurs fit into Talcamar's mission to kill all the augurs? And are they the same person? Because we know that Talcamar is everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Is Talcamar Davian? And if so, did he create his own best friend so that he would have someone to lean on?
Yeah. I mean, we know Davian has always been dead, so what if he was never alive to begin with? And he's just a golem.
Or an echo.
Maybe Davian is Talcamar's ghost.
Well, Davian is dead, so
Ghost? You're getting crazy,
Echo?
dude. There's no ghosts in the series. Okay?
Bavian is dead. Bavian is dead.
Bavian is dead, but no, I
Davian
don't think
still
there's no
has some
ghost.
time to get there. Still has some years to get
Well,
buff.
Davian is still technically dead because he doesn't have an essence reserve.
Yeah, he's always been dead.
Well, he
So
has an
maybe-
artificial essence reserve now.
Maybe he's just a fancy echo or a Sharteth. Just
Ooh, could
Ooh.
be. Maybe he's the original. Because I mean, who's to say he's actually as old as we think he is? If he's dead, couldn't he have just been like a baby forever as they were like creating him?
Do you think we're going to go into the Darklands? Like, if we're
Ooh,
do you
that's
think a character is going to travel into the Darklands?
I think a character will. I don't think we're gonna get like a scene more than like, oh, this was agony. Here's a quick POV, and that's it. That's all we're gonna get. We're not gonna get like more than that.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be someone that's not too important, because then they'll try to bring them back, and they'll be like, oh, they're dead, or like they're mad, like a silly R kind of thing, and they'll be like, we should leave that alone, and then we'll touch it again. That's what I think's gonna happen.
Okay. And do we think that one of the augurs that we've been following is betraying the group? Do we think that there's a mole among like among Aaron, Fessy?
I know you think it's Aaron. I know you do.
I'm torn between Fessa and Aaron and
All right,
Fessy.
Fessy was pretty. That was a pretty low move to bail on a friend. Okay, you guys are prisoners together. That's like family. She bails. That one. All right. That one's that was irritating me more than I thought. I guess. Okay. Yeah, I could see Fessy. But yet Aaron also has that side to him. That's just like, yeah, he just doesn't care
Yeah.
about some people. I can see that in a lot of his conversations.
who is
So I could see that.
who is the third augur that Jakaris gave some of his knowledge to?
Yeah, I want to know that.
It could be Aaron, for all we know.
It would contradict a lot of things we think we know about Aaron, including his age and discovery date by Lucian.
What if it was Driskin or whatever his name is?
Drissin. Yeah.
But he's not an augur, is
He's not an augur as far as we
Oh, he
know.
went. Oh, I thought he
No.
was.
No, he's just a gifted who used to serve the augurs. There's a name for it, and I'm forgetting it.
Essence slave. I don't know.
And it's not nameless, but it's close.
Okay. Yeah, that one's kind of ringing a bell. I was like, nameless does sound familiar. Yeah, I don't have too much else. Mostly Caden gonna find a way to. I think Davian's gonna be a venerate, and I think that's how he's alive. I'm not sure how he's gonna be alive, but I think that is probably my guess. Is that Caden's gonna find some way to make him a venerate.
He's definitely displaying unique skills, and that seems to be a sign of the venerate as far as this power system goes.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's supposed to be what?
Because no one else
venerate?
has unique skills.
There's 13 venerate, right? Or is there 9? There's 9. Is that the number?
There's 9.
And there's always been 9, right?
No.
Besides when they like found each other during like the creation of them, because they've been.
Yeah, but
it's
I think
been
it took them a
9
while to find each other, but it has been 9 for a long time.
yeah, thousands of years. What if
Yeah.
once he started killing them, other people are able to be venerate up to the 9, and he's finding a way to do that.
Well, that would alter the whole theological basis of their fight.
Yeah, I mean, I threw theology out the window. This series, it's about just
but,
like trying to save people and
The
us
whole
against other
purpose of
people.
killing a venerate is that you deprive the world of another tool in the fight against Shemeloth, supposedly.
Yeah.
And if they're able to be reborn after one of them is exterminated, then there's no penalty to killing a venerate.
No, I'm not saying reborn, like created the way that
Or even
El
either
created it,
either method kind of like
like to replace.
it really disrupts their theology.
Yeah, but if they've been alive for thousands of years and it's not been new Venerate of the Nine, then they have not had this disruption yet because it's been thousands of years like that. So I want to see that happen. I'm thinking Davian becomes one because we got plenty of open spaces. We got
It
not
would
Meldier
significantly
because
lower the lower the stakes. I think it would very much lower the stakes of the world
mm,
if that was the case.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. These are top level surface thoughts that I have not thought about much. I'm working them out with you right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you guys want to make any predictions on deaths or anything? Who's gonna die?
Oh,
Who's gonna
that's
survive? Or
true.
make?
I want to say Asha dies. I know I've been saying that she's
I
endgame,
sure
but
hope
I
so.
also kind of
Yeah.
want to say that she dies because Davian sure was concerned about it enough to go back in time and send a secret message.
I think she's got to die just because she's got so much power now, obviously, that either she dies in some
Either
sacrificial way or what? She's just the super person for the whole book and she can do whatever she wants.
maybe someone could steal her reserve and she could go back to being a shadow, but
That's
I
without the
better.
marking.
That's better.
I would think that she would probably give the shadows back their power.
Freedom back to the slaves. That
Yeah.
would be good. I could see that.
And as much as I like, she probably needs to die. It's just a typical to have the main female character of the book, the only main female character of the book, die.
Oh, I'm not saying I wouldn't be upset about it, but either she's going to die or we're going to find out that she was destined to die and that Bavian was able to change time and get her to survive.
I love Bavian so much.
I want Word to die. I think he'll die.
And I maintain that Taurus is dying. Taurus is absolutely going to die from that compulsion.
No, I think he's gonna live.
Nope, Davian's going to forget about it and he's going to die by slitting his own throat or something.
Nah, I think
It's going to be one cut too many. Or maybe there's going to be like two Davians in the timeline at the same time, and that combo of control is what causes the compulsion to take him over
that could
and
be
finally
that
kill
could be it.
himself.
I could see that happening.
Yep.
Okay. I think Kara's gonna live.
I think the king's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
barely appeared. Who cares?
Yeah.
Surprised he's still alive.
I really am. I'm surprised he's still alive. He's got to do something stupid, though. He has to do something stupid in the next book because he has to be stupid, realize he was wrong, and then die.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's got to follow the Weir's mom path.
Mm-hmm.
He sounds pretty chill though. He's like cool with Ware and his girlfriend. He's like, yeah, you two hang out. Less uptight than Ware's dad.
Yeah, well, whereas dad was living in a prison of Aaron's making for 3 years or whatever. So
Let's give it rough. Yeah, Aaron's not the best guy. Not the best. But he's got his reasons. He's got his reasons.
and I'd love to find out what they are.
Yeah. Wouldn't you like to know?
I'd also love to know like any characteristic that Aaron has or like hobby or interest.
Besides just being the augur.
Yeah. Besides being the augur who
You
talks
say
to
that
people
about,
mind to mind.
That's like
I could
all the main characters.
all the characters. All the
I'm trying to
characters.
think I'm trying to think of one hobby that any of them have mentioned. Didn't one of them say they like to swim or something like that? I don't remember that.
I didn't even know there
Sworn
was
one was
swimming
like,
in
yeah,
this
I
world.
think go swimming when I was a kid. I was like, oh, okay, there we go. That's
I
kind
think
of cool.
Asha liked to swim.
Ashley was okay. She liked to swim.
Yeah, because she was about to go
That's what it was.
swim, so she mentioned
She's
it.
like, I'm a strong swimmer because I did it as a kid, and it's not been over a year since I've been in a representative not near
Yeah.
the water. So obviously, I'm still a really strong swimmer. So that was
Even though I
another one.
have,
I was like, yeah, okay,
at least her fainting spells were over with.
yeah. Well, she's too powerful for that. Yeah, her power is way over 9,000. That's the way it is now. All right, I think that's gonna do it for us. We're getting a little longer than I thought we would, but Yeti egged us on with some more predictions. Uh, did anyone have any last thoughts before we wrap it up now? No? Okay.
We're in Dizia get married, then she dies.
Okay, we're and DZ get married, but Blur dies, and then Dezia and Barra get married as queen and queen. Yeah.
I would so be on board for that as a last reveal, but it's not happening.
Yeah. I don't think so either, unfortunately. All right, this has been the Green Team of the Legendarium. This has been the Echo of Things to Come, Book 2 of the Licanius Trilogy, Part 2. We did it. We got one more book left. And that's it. That's going to wrap this up. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, I'm sure, in this last book. A lot of time travel nonsense and other crazy things that we're just going to see what happens. We made some predictions. You can laugh at our face next time when we get them all wrong. And we'll see you then. Thank you to the main podcast Legendarium team. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, everybody who got us started. And the music is Galactic Damages by Jingle Punks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.